What happens when you hold up a mirror to a culture showing them a truth they are not ready to face? Well, you won't believe what went down when I directed the Times of India commercial for English in the life of a Malayali. It was such an incredible experience on the surface. It was a humorous take on the Malayali pride in their language and culture. Well, I'm a Malayali too, so in my culture. If you dig a little deeper, there is a whole other layer of commentary on the cultural contradiction we navigate every day. So relatable, right? Today, I'm super excited to take you behind the scenes of this controversial ad. I'll dive into why it really struck a nerve and how it serves as a perfect case study for directors trying to balance satire with authenticity. Let's get into it. The script was simple but hard-hitting. It totally taps into the attitude that Malayalis have, this amazing pride in their roots, traditions and language, until they don't. We kicked things off with a stunning aerial view of a tranquil river, featuring a young man seated on a boat on his way to the airport, perfectly capturing the deep-rooted Malayali bond with nature.
നമ്മൾ മലയാളികളെ വേറെ ലെവലാണ്. ജീവിക്കാൻ കേരളം പോലൊരിടം വേറെ എവിടെയും ഇല്ലാന്ന്
But right there, we dropped the first bombshell.
പക്ഷെ വിസ കിട്ടിയാൽ നമ്മൾ അപ്പ പറക്കും.
The first moment where we highlight this cultural contradiction. Malayalis proclaim their love for Kerala, but as soon as they get a visa, they are out of here. The suitcase able to Kochi to New York was a subtle but powerful symbol of this duality. And as a director, I wanted to keep the tone relatable but reflective. Visually, I wanted to keep it minimalistic but symbolic. I leaned heavily on reflection shots throughout the film to emphasize that we are holding a mirror up to the Malayalis, making them face the cultural contradictions head on.
തെങ്ങിൽ നിന്നാണ് കേരളത്തിന് പേര് പോലും കിട്ടിയത്. പക്ഷേ തെങ്ങിൽ കേറാൻ ആളെ കിട്ടില്ല.
The scene where a foreign tourist is mesmerized by a Kathakali performance.
കഥകളി നമ്മുടെ അഭിമാനമാണ്. പക്ഷെ കയ്യടിക്കാനോ സായിപ്പ് വേണം.
Asking the guide about the meaning of a mudra, a traditional hand gesture, but he has no clue. This was a way of visually expressing the disconnect between tradition and reality.
What does this mudra mean?
Just like that.
Kathakali is a pride of Kerala, but who is appreciating it more? The locals or the tourists? It's a sharp critique, but it had to feel natural to the flow of the story. Malayalis love their cinema, especially films that smell of the soil of Kerala. But here's a twist.
മണ്ണിന്റെ മണമുള്ള സിനിമകളോടാണ് നമുക്ക് പ്രിയം. പക്ഷേ പേരിലൊരു ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ടച്ച് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതാണ് ബെസ്റ്റ്.
We love it with the English touch in the title. Take the last few years of cinema, which has done well, and all of these films have English titles. Well, we feel that with a little English in the title, it's fantastic. It's a playful jab, but also a truth. There is always that hunger for little more Western appeal. As a director, it was important for me to balance the humor with authenticity. I kept the performances natural, the dialogue sharp, yet conversational, to avoid pushing the satire into mockery. The humor had to come from a place of love and understanding for the culture, not condescension. If you're enjoying this deep dive into how we crafted a satirical yet heartfelt commercial, don't forget to hit subscribe. I've got plenty more behind the scenes case studies, filmmaking tips and creative insights coming your way. And drop a comment, what's the most thoughtful provoking ad you have seen recently? The climax of the film is perhaps the most telling. A father and a daughter go for their morning walk, stop by a tea shop, and the father reaches out for a Malayalam newspaper. But before he could pick it up, his daughter grabs the Times of India in English, saying, "If I don't speak good English, they'll fine me at school," which is another contradicting nature in what we face in Kerala. Right? It's a perfect contrast of generations. The father represents a love for the Malayalam, saying Malayalam is our identity, dear, but the daughter counters English is our second language.
മലയാളം നമ്മുടെ ചങ്കല്ലേ മോളെ.
ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് നമ്മുടെ സെക്കൻഡ് ലാംഗ്വേജ് അല്ലേ അച്ഛാ?
English in the life of a Malayali.
Right, Dad? I mean, it's a moment that encapsulates the entire message of the commercial. We are proud of our roots, but we are also eager to embrace the global language, English. This scene was shot with simplicity to keep the focus on the dialogue. The bench is symbolic. It's a place where people sit and reflect, just like the characters are reflecting on their language, identity, and the future. The final voiceover brings it all together. English in the life of a Malayali. Change begins here. Now let's talk about the fallout. Many Malayalis were not too pleased. Some felt the commercial insulted their cultural pride, suggesting that they were too quick to embrace English and foreign influences. Others felt an ad held a mirror too close for comfort, making them confront the uncomfortable truth about the balance between tradition and modernity. But as a filmmaker, that's exactly what I intended. The goal wasn't to ridicule, but to provoke thought. It's easy to get defensive when someone challenges your cultural identity, but sometimes it's necessary to face those contradictions. That's what good satire does. It makes you uncomfortable, but it also makes you think. And me being a Malayali and able to do this commercial, not that I'm showing a mirror to somebody else, I'm showing a mirror to myself. Directing this commercial was a challenge, not just technically, but emotionally. It's tough to balance satire with respect, especially when you're dealing with something as sensitive as cultural identity. But that's the job of a filmmaker. You have to tell the story that needs to be told, even if it ruffles some feathers along the way. If this breakdown made you think about the power of satire in storytelling, give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever worked on a project that sparked controversy? And how do you balance critique with cultural sensitivity? Until next time, keep creating, keep reflecting, and I'll see you in the next one.